8 brain glitches almost everyone has experienced. Have you ever walked into a room and immediately forgotten why you went there? Or checked your phone because you were absolutely sure you felt it vibrate, even though there were no notifications? Sometimes a familiar word suddenly starts to look wrong, and sometimes you get the strange feeling that the moment happening right now has already happened before. That does not mean there is something wrong with your brain. It is constantly simplifying reality, predicting events, and filling in missing details. Most of the time, we do not even notice it. But sometimes the system makes a small mistake. Here are 8 brain glitches you have probably experienced. The first is déjà vu. You are in a completely new situation, but suddenly you get a strong feeling. I have already seen this moment. The room feels familiar. The conversation seems to be repeating itself, and you are almost certain you know what will happen next. Déjà vu means already seen, but it is not a memory of the future, and it is not proof that you are trapped in a time loop. Most likely, the brain accidentally creates a feeling of familiarity, even though there is no real memory of the situation. One part of your brain understands that the moment is new, while another part somehow marks it as familiar. That is why you feel as though the event has happened before, but you cannot remember when. The second is the doorway effect. Imagine you are sitting at your desk and remember that you need your charger. You stand up, walk into another room, pass through the doorway, and completely forget why you came. The brain divides life into separate events. One room may feel like one scene, while walking through a doorway signals the beginning of a new one. When the environment changes, the previous thought can become harder to access. It is almost as if the brain closed one tab and opened another. That is why returning to the previous room can actually help. The familiar surroundings may reactivate the thought that first appeared there. The third is phantom vibration. You feel your phone vibrate in your pocket. You check it, but there is nothing. Sometimes the phone is not even in your pocket. The brain becomes so used to expecting messages that it may mistake a small movement of clothing, a touch, or a muscle twitch for a phone vibration. In simple terms, it receives an unclear signal and chooses the explanation it expects most. I probably got a notification. The phone is silent, but your brain has already convinced you otherwise. The fourth is jamais vu. It is almost the opposite of déjà vu. Try repeating a simple word many times. For example, door, 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 door. After a while, it may begin to sound strange. You still know what it means, but the word itself starts to feel unreal. This is called jamais vu, meaning never seen. A familiar object, person, or word temporarily feels unfamiliar. With constant repetition, the brain briefly loses its normal sense of recognition. The meaning is still there, but the connection between the word and the feeling of familiarity becomes weaker. The fifth is the tip of the tongue effect. You know someone's name, you remember their face, their job, and maybe even the first letter of their name, but you still cannot say the word. It feels as if the answer is incredibly close, but your brain cannot quite reach it. The information has not completely disappeared. You have already found the meaning, but you cannot retrieve the exact sound of the word. And the most frustrating part is that the correct answer often appears later, after you have stopped trying to remember it. Your brain may continue searching in the background until the wrong possibilities stop getting in the way. The sixth is false awakening. You wake up, turn off your alarm, pick up your phone, and start getting ready. Then suddenly, you wake up again. Everything before that was a dream. A false awakening feels realistic because the brain creates a familiar scene. Your bedroom, your bed, your alarm, and your normal morning routine. Sometimes a person can wake up several times inside the same dream. And after finally waking up for real, they may spend a few seconds wondering, am I definitely awake now? The seventh is change blindness. Imagine 2 almost identical photographs of a street. In the second image, a car has disappeared, the color of a door has changed, or a person is gone. The difference may be quite large, but you still do not notice it. We feel as though we see the entire scene around us at once. In reality, the brain processes only the part that currently has our attention in detail. If the change happens during a blink, a camera movement, or a brief blackout, the brain may simply fail to compare the old and new versions of the scene. We do not see everything in front of us. We mainly notice what we are paying attention to. The eighth is the feeling that time is speeding up. When you were a child, summer vacation seemed endless. Now it can feel as though a week ends almost as soon as it begins. Of course, clocks have not started moving faster. What changed is the way the brain experiences and remembers time. In childhood, many things happen for the first time. New places, people, activities, and experiences create many separate memories. But when days become similar, the brain stores fewer unique moments. And when we look back, a repetitive period can feel very short. That is why a boring day may feel slow while it is happening, but an entire repetitive month can later seem to have disappeared from memory. All of these glitches reveal one important thing. The brain does not record reality like a video camera. It constantly rebuilds it. It chooses what matters, ignores what seems unimportant, makes predictions, and fills in the gaps. Most of the time, this system works extremely well, but sometimes you lose a thought after walking through a doorway, feel a vibration that never happened, or suddenly recognize a moment you have never experienced before. Which of these brain glitches happens to you most often? Let me know in the comments.